If you were a kid back in the 1940s, the world would have been a very different place. But it wasn't just the cars or the clothes, it was that the world was at war for a second time. Australia was part of a group of countries, including the UK, France and the US, that were fighting against another group of nations led by Germany, Italy and Japan. In some of those places, fighting and bombings were a regular threat. But in Australia, most people felt like the war was a long way away. That was until 1941. Authorities started to worry that Darwin, then a small town but also an important military base, might be in serious danger of being bombed by Japan. The government decided to evacuate more than 1,000 women and children on ships. Wendy was 5 years old at the time. She was shipped to Perth with no idea when she'd be able to return.
We set off down the dirt track to go to the wharf. My father was standing on the back steps and we turned a corner and we lost sight of him. And my mother was so angry and crying, and we managed to board the ship just before they pulled up the gangplank and before they pulled up the anchor.
On the 19th of February 1942, war came to Australia's shores. Japan wanted to destroy our country's northern defences so it could invade Timor and in the process send Australia a warning. Just before 10 a.m, Japanese forces launched 188 fighter planes from ships in the Timor Sea and headed for Darwin. They bombed military bases, the town and the harbour, sinking several ships, including a US destroyer. A second attack followed soon after. The two air raids killed at least 235 people and wounded about 400 more. It was, and still is, the biggest attack on Australia in its history. But it wasn't the only one. In total, there were more than 90 air attacks on the Northern Territory.
This is a photograph taken about 6 months after we came back from being evacuated.
Evacuees like Wendy were only allowed back into Darwin in 1945 when the war finally ended. By then, she hadn't seen her dad for about 4 years. Her family house and a lot of the town she knew had disappeared. But she said it was good to finally be home safe.
There was a sense of relief that everything was peaceful and their families were together again. It was a wonderful sense.
Today, the city has grown and changed a lot, but locals haven't forgotten the day Darwin was bombed.
This is the harbour when it was bombed. 1942.
In the lead up to the 75th anniversary, some kids have been learning about it and creating artwork.
We're recreating a famous painting of the bombing of the harbour of Darwin, and at the moment we're just doing the ocean, and we've been learning a lot about it, and we would like to know because it's in our Darwin's history.
Veterans and locals say it was a sad and important moment in Australia's history that should always be remembered.